welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. So I just want to get to some quick entertainment world news. Apparently, The Walking Dead has cast Jeffrey Dean Morgan's wife to play his deceased wife, Lucille, on The Walking Dead for some flashback scenes. Her name is Hilary Burton. She's Jeffrey Dean Morgan's real life wife, and we're going to get to see that either later this season or next season. I think they're only filming for this season presently, so that'll be cool. I like the Negan character. I think, it's a character that has evolved a lot since it first showed up. And, that's always a good thing, especially when you get a character that has, like a redemption. They experience a redemption over time. I'm a big fan of redemption arcs. So I like what they've done with this character on the show. So I'll be interested to see more about his past and more about, maybe why he was the way he was when he first showed up on The Walking Dead. So we have that to look forward to. Moving right along, I want to get to some news about the world of DC Comics. Going off of a set photo that's been released from the Batman, it seems like Wally West might show up in that film, or at least be referenced. This is based on the fact that a poster that shows up in Gotham City in the Batman has a symbol on it that appears to be the Wally West version of the Flash emblem. So that would be interesting. We've only so far seen the CW version of Wally West in live action, and if we get to see a different version, that would be cool. I suspect we won't. I suspect that at most the character will be referenced, but we'll have to wait until the movie comes out, to know for sure. Also sticking with the world of DC Comics, Linda Carter apparently came out with a very short video on her Twitter the other day, just before the election, where she sort of recreates her whole Wonder Woman twirl. And I just thought it was pretty cool. Linda Carter is, of course, an iconic person just in her own right. And, for having portrayed Wonder Woman. And so I just figured I'd show that to you because it's kind of cute. The big story I want to get to about DC Comics is that I've read that it's possible they are going to be changing the way they sort of handle their continuity between books. A report from Bleeding Cool suggests that following the upcoming Future State miniseries that I talked about in a previous video, DC could be moving towards an omniverse-styled universe, which sort of is contradictory, as opposed to the current multiverse. The move would make continuity less important and allow for more creative freedom in storytelling, which I've never been sure was a great thing. The report says continuity is both a selling point and it creates a tough entry barrier for readers. So they're trying to balance one against the other. Most seasoned comic book writers tend to enjoy stories that tie into a character's deep history, gives them something to work with and so forth. But for new readers, that continuity can be sort of a roadblock in getting into a specific character or storyline or even a universe. DC has opted for line-wide relaunches happening every few years, the New 52, DC Rebirth. But most recently, the publisher's been much more open to non-continuity stories. That's, stuff like Doomsday Clock, Three Jokers, or the numerous releases from their Black Label and young adult lines. This, situation hasn't been confirmed by DC Comics, so it's, one of those things you got to take with a grain of salt. But Bleeding Cool's Rich Johnston suggests that the rumor will see the typical relaunch done away with in favor of a model that strays away from interconnected continuity. And those relaunches, of course, tend to happen because the interconnected continuity keeps getting complicated the longer it goes on, and they sort of reboot it, every once in a while for that reason. So this would go away if they move into this less connected continuity, which I guess would be next year. I have to say, I don't know how that would affect me. I've stopped reading comics a long time ago, mostly because I just couldn't keep up with it. But not because of story, but just, it's so many books and so little time and, money. But it certainly frees them up to tell stories that are less constrained by a solid continuity. Although that hasn't been a problem, as the article mentions, they've got they have various miniseries that come out from time to time that are in their own little bubble. Certainly films like the Batman aren't part of the same continuity as the DCEU. So this is not a new concept. Marvel's been dealing with it for a long time. The Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't include the X-Men films, so anything that happens in the X-Men isn't translated over to events of the MCEU or the MCU. So it's not a new concept in comicdom, but I guess DC now is going to move into this more strongly in print than they have before. We'll have to see. It's going to be a while because first we have to get through Future State. Anyway, that's it for me. From me for now. I'll be back, when there's more news or with my review of Discovery's next episode. Until then, you know the deal. Peace and long life.